Local 4 News begins right now with a breaking news alert.
17 minutes, 17 lives. Across the East Coast this morning and here at home, waves of students marched out of class to demand stricter gun laws and an end to school massacres. And Parkland students are making their voices heard, injected with a call to activism.
We seem to forget that so many of the revolutions and movements that happened in America have started with, not high school students, but college students.
It doesn't just have to stop with us. We're the stepping stone for a much greater purpose.
A closer look at the protests across the country and here at home. A stepping stone for a greater purpose. What profound words. This does top our news this noon. Across Metro Detroit, young protesters and adults made their voices heard. Let's take you on a tour. This is across the East Coast of the country this morning. You can see video of walkouts taking place at the U.S. Capitol, Rhode Island, and down to our south in Parkland, Florida, the site of that massacre that started it all. Here's a live look right now. This is to our west in Colorado, where it is now 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and students are just beginning their protests. Let's now send things over to Sandra Ali, who is covering the protest for us right here at home, right outside of Cass Technical High School, that walked out earlier this morning as well. Sandra, a very emotional and powerful morning.
Absolutely, Rhonda. Good afternoon to you. And you said it. What a historic morning. We saw thousands of students out here today. But not only did we see students, we saw faculty members, administrators, parents, teachers, and volunteers all standing together in solidarity. They say it's time for them to turn their grief into activism.
What do we want? Gun control! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Gun control! When do we want it? Now!
We wanted to be sure that our focus was on gun violence and how we wanted to strive for gun reform and the implementation of gun control laws to ensure that, these senseless gun violence don't continue to happen in our country.
Our young people are taking a stand. They are making a movement. They are creating a legacy. They are creating history, and I am all for it.
No way! Say no to the NRA!
Well, this is an issue that definitely affects all of us, and that's what we wanted to extend to all the student body. Our purpose was actually to let them know. They know it every day because they live it every day. We're victims, and we will continue to be victims if nothing is done about it. So that's what we wanted to extend, awareness and action.
It's great to be down here with young people who truly appreciate that they're the voice that's going to make a difference in gun violence in this country. And I applaud them coming out and doing this today.
And of course, we saw similar walkouts all across Metro Detroit today. At last check, according to NBC News, some 3,100 schools, different school districts all across the country had planned to take part in today's walkout. Rhonda?
Well, certainly you can see the pride in the parents and the community to see these kids take a stand like this. Sandra, as you were talking to those kids, talk about the determination that you witness in terms of really wanting to see change and really continuing this fight.
And you know what, Rhonda, there are so many stories we heard out here this morning, students out here for so many various reasons. But one young lady we talked to in particular, she struck me. She said she was not only out here walking for herself because she believes strongly in stricter gun laws, but she's worried for her younger siblings. She says she has younger brothers and younger sisters at home, and her thoughts lately have turned to what is the world going to look like for them, and how is it going to look like for them coming to school every day. And she said, that's why I'm walking today. I'm walking for them, which definitely struck me.
And it certainly sounds like words that would come out of the mouth of a parent. It's sad to see that it comes out of the children as well. But they're certainly getting a great lesson in government and how laws are made, and they're making a difference.
Absolutely.
Sandra, thank you. We do want to take a look at other protests that are happening across the metro area. Earlier this morning, Dearborn-Fordson High School, 2,700 students took part in the walkout there. It was peaceful, it was student-led, and it had the full support of its administration.
This movement, our movement, the students, we stand nationally with Stoneman. We stand with the victims. We stand with the victims of any gun violence.
That was in Dearborn, over in Grosse Pointe South High School, Grosse Pointe Farms, I should say. They walked out onto the football field this morning as a group to support the 17 victims as well as protests for new gun laws. And over in Berkeley, students also walked out there as well in support, and they gathered right in front of the school. A huge crowd there. Several of the students were seen holding up signs, and some of the students even stood in front of the crowd and shared some of their thoughts and views. Students at Warren Mott High School also joined in this national walkout. You can see them from Sky 4. You can see them standing in a large group in front of the school, with several wearing the orange, and that orange is the color that was picked as the color of this #Enough movement today. And as we have showed you, thousands of students across the country staged these walkouts as well. The protest is to gun violence, and 1 month after that deadly massacre in Parkland, Florida. Here's Sarah Deloff. She is taking a closer look at the protests in Parkland, the place that started it all.
At 10 a.m., students here at Stoneman Douglas High walked out of the classroom and outside the school for 17 minutes, 1 minute to honor each of those killed in the gun attack 1 month ago today. At the same time, similar protests across the country at an estimated 3,100 schools from elementary to colleges, all of them calling for gun law reform, including allowing courts to take away weapons from those exhibiting violent behavior. Now, some schools were supportive of these demonstrations, working with students to ensure security and to shape them. Others outright against them, threatening disciplinary action against students who participated. Now, next up for student advocates is the March for Our Lives in Washington, D.C. later this month, with similar events scheduled across the world. In Parkland, Florida, I'm Sarah Dolph, NBC News.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Let's turn our attention now here at home to the weather. And as we take a look outside, there's one thing missing that we've been seeing every day this week, Brandon. No snow.
Yes, we had some earlier today. A lot of it was east and west of us, but a lot of that is gone, and it is chilly out. I don't want to joke with anybody about the conditions because it can get pretty serious if you're not bundled up. 20s when you are north of 8 Mile, and areas south just around 30 degrees. The winds are whipping out there out of the west-northwest, 10 to 20, and wind chills. This is the important part. Anybody's going to be outside for an hour or two, we need the gloves, we need layers, because the wind will strip the body heat right away. And these teens and 20s for wind chills the rest of the day, it can lead to some complications, but we're prepared for it, and we have clouds over us now with a little bit of sun, but we are going to get back into some times of decent sunshine, a little bit of cloud cover coming back, coming and going, upper 30s, feeling colder, and we're looking ahead to good things, Rhonda, in the 7-day.
Right. Well, you like the sounds of that. Thank you, Brandon. We'll check back in with you shortly. Meanwhile, we have a Help Me Hank consumer alert for you. Ford Motor Company is recalling nearly 1.4 million mid-sized sedans for a very serious reason. There is an issue that may cause the steering wheel to detach while driving. The affected vehicles include the 2014 through 2018 model years of the Ford Fusion and the Lincoln MKS. Ford does know of at least 2 crashes and 1 injury due to this problem. We have more information on clickondetroit.com. In a stunning upset, Democrat Connor Lamb is declared the winner of Pennsylvania's closely watched special congressional election, beating out Republican Rick Ciccone in a very close race in a district that President Trump carried by 20 points during the campaign. Campaigning as a moderate on guns and opposing Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi, many believe that Lamb is giving Democrats a blueprint for winning back voters in future elections. The Secretary of State fired yesterday, hearing about it on Twitter from President Trump. It's the most high-profile firing in a string of Trump administration departures. The former oil executive fired by the president after more than a year of public clashes and a reported lack of chemistry. But sources tell NBC News that Tillerson's cardinal sin was calling the president a moron in front of other top officials. Yesterday, an emotional Tillerson spoke about being thankful to serve.
I'll now return to private life as a private citizen, as a proud American, proud of the opportunity I've had to serve my country.
Tillerson's replacement, if confirmed, CIA Director Mike Pompeo, a former Tea Party congressman from Kansas. The president's proposed new head of CIA would then be Gina Haspel, which would make her the first woman to serve in that position. Still to come here on your Wednesday, Great Britain is striking back behind the scenes over Russia's refusal to discuss the poisoning of a spy on English soil. Plus, trouble at an American embassy in one of the world's biggest cities. What caused this clash between protesters and police? And we are continuing to monitor the walkouts of students participating in this national walkout across the country. You are looking at live pictures right now. This is out of the West in Columbine High School, where it is just after 10 o'clock in the morning Mountain Time there, and the walkouts are just now getting underway. Of course, you probably remember Columbine was the site of a 1999 massacre that claimed many young lives. We're back in a moment.
It happened.
Hundreds of Kurds clashed with police outside of the U.S. Embassy in Paris on Tuesday night to protest against Turkey's targeting of Kurdish-held areas in northern Syria. Police officers in riot gear tried to keep protesters away from the embassy building, and as the situation developed, police fired tear gas and demonstrators threw objects. Several protesters were injured in the scuffle. And developing right now, Britain is striking back against Russia. British Prime Minister Theresa May expelled 23 Russian diplomats on Wednesday after accusing Moscow for the poisoning of a former Russian spy. This all comes as Russia refused to cooperate when asked to explain itself over this month's nerve agent attack on a former spy and his daughter. May says that all agents have a week to leave. Russia denies being involved in the attack. And renowned British theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking has passed away. Hawking's brilliant mind ranged across time and space through his body and paralyzed by disease. Hawking died peacefully at his home in Cambridge, England, earlier today. Earlier today, he was 96 years old. Hawking was known for writing on the mysteries of space, time, black holes. He was one of science's biggest celebrities since Albert Einstein. He leaves behind quite a legacy. Still to come, winter weather pummeling the Northeast time after time. When will this region see some relief, Brandon?
Well, there is yet another nor'easter potential in the 7-day forecast. It could have an impact on us as well. But let's focus on the weekend warm-up next.
Violent street gangs so bold they shoot their victims and don't even bother to flee the scene. Now an undercover agent is speaking out.
We were told this was the most violent gang in Northwest Detroit. Go do your job and find a way to take them down.
Innocent men, women, and children being attacked, robbed, even shot by criminals who are not afraid of the police.
Their propensity for violence was just so extreme that it warranted the federal government to get involved with this.
See what federal officials are doing to put a stop to it inside the ATF tonight at 11.
30. During what?
Cleanup and power restoration beginning after the third nor'easter storm of the last couple of weeks hits the Northeast with hurricane force winds and heavy snow.
It has just been awful for folks that live in the Northeast cities and states. This is video from the snow cleanup in Salem, Framingham, and Carver, Massachusetts, as well as images from other parts of Connecticut, Groton, Connecticut. 140,000 customers apparently largely clustered on Cape Cod and southern Massachusetts remain without power right now in the wake of that record-breaking storm.
Yeah, and it could be Thursday night before everyone is back online. The Weather Service says Tuesday's storm brought more than 2 feet of snow to some communities in Massachusetts and that Cape Cod area that lost power. Also 28 inches.
Oh my gosh,
the
that
top.
is just hard to even fathom.
That was, again, 3 nor'easters in 10 days. That is sort of capped off by that 28 inches in some spots. Luckily, good parts of the megalopolis, Philly, D.C., New York, they were, able to manage through it okay. A little bit of, airport delays, things like that. We do have some clouds over us now and a gusty wind. 30 degrees with a west wind at 15 brings the feels like number down into the upper teens. And we're not alone here. In fact, it's worse in many places. Only 25 in Pontiac, our north zone. Wind chill of 11. And again, we need to prepare for that if we're heading out. It doesn't feel right here mid-March that we should be dealing with wind chills like we were in the single digits and teens, but those winds are gusting over 20 at times and likely going to be with us here the rest of the day. 37 degrees, feeling colder than that. We'll get a nice blend of some sunshine coming back here for a few hours and then a little bit more cloud cover still later, but a spotty snow chance mainly north and east as we go through the overnight. We're not seeing any problems now. You can kind of see the east side clouds blanketing. We showed you the Mount Clemens picture, but it's thinning out a little bit to the west and a few more clouds then behind that. But this area of low pressure that we're watching, just a weak disturbance that drops down close enough overnight, bringing some snow chances through the overnight hours. Again, a lot of that in the thumb, but during the day, east siders may especially see a quick little snow shower. I do believe we are going to have some sunny periods as well, but more 30s for your Thursday and Friday here with relief coming finally for St. Patrick's Day, of course. It'll be 40s and greening up because that sun and the warm up. It's nice. 49 on Sunday, nice and mild on Monday. The first day of spring is Tuesday, and wouldn't you know it, we are going to get clipped by a little wintry mix here, and that storm has a good chance of energizing, strengthening, and becoming yet another nor'easter for our friends and family back east.
Brandon, thank you. Still to come, a cat owner in Vietnam dresses his furry friend up. We're going to tell you why he does this. Coming up next.
Alt 106.
Well, welcome back, everybody, as we topped our newscast talking about this national walkout across the country. We're looking at live pictures in Colorado, where just after 10 o'clock this morning, students began their protest there, as we did here at 10 o'clock in the morning at schools across Metro Detroit. And finally, you've seen cats, you've seen dogs, you've seen fish, but have you ever seen a cat named Dog selling fish? I'm just guessing, I don't know.
I have, but this was it. It was 65,000 Instagram followers, and this costume-wearing cat in Vietnam is the star. The owner uses his furry friend, his status, his Instagram popularity to sell fish in the Haiphong market.
Well, what's more bizarre is the cat's name is Cho, which means dog in Vietnamese, and Cho is a big hit on social media. So something to make you smile this noon. Thank you for being with us, everybody, on Local 4 News. Remember, we're back on Local 4 News at 4, 5, 6, 11, 4:30 tomorrow morning.
We'll be here.
And all the time on ClickOnDetroit.com. Have a good day.